Alright guys, for this video, someone asked me to show them how to format a book before you submit it to a publisher. Now, every publisher is different, and the first thing you want to do is find out their submission guidelines, but this is what we do at Crazy Ink. I asked my authors to send me unfinished work, and I'm going to blatantly take what they gave me and format it the way it should be submitted to a publisher. So this first thing I'm going to do is click Enable Editing. Now, I'm not sure why. I think people are generally trying to be helpful with this, but this is already set up as a sized document. That's not how publishers want books. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go to Layout. I mean, they want them like that eventually, but initially it should not be sized. You don't know what size a publisher uses. You always want to submit a document that is 8 by 5 by 11. So let's make this thing the right size. Okay, this is a great example actually, because if you look at it, it's left justified. Everything is hitting this left margin right here. There are no tabs or paragraphs. This is perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but it's perfect for these purposes. So the first thing you want to do, Home, select all, paragraph. Now, again, every publisher is going to be different. For me, I want this set to 5. This is going to be your tab spacing size. The alignment stays at left, but just to be sure, we're going to put it at left. Line spacing, 1.5. Make sure there's nothing here. There's oftentimes a default of 0.08. You don't want that there. Okay. So we've already got a different look to this whole thing just by doing that. The next thing you need to do, it would be good if my mouse worked. Because I just did that with Select All because I was trying to do it fast, you now have chapters that are indented. You don't want that. Chapter titles need to be centered. Another thing you want to make sure of, Home. This one happens to be done right, but we're going to do it anyways. Select All. You want to use the preferred font of whoever the publisher is. With us, it's Times New Roman, font size 12. So now you're going to go through each chapter. You're centering those. Each chapter needs to start on a new page, and between those pages there should be a hard space. So to do that, insert, pages, page break. I don't know if that was already done on this one or not, but that's what should be done. On every time you get to a place that says chapter. So I'm going to skip that because that's just redundant, but I would go through on each of these. Centered with no tab, because if I was to do that, I'll do it. Hopefully there's another chapter. It looks like there is. If I was to do that, watch. If I just hit center without going over, yeah, it'll center it, but with a tab. So now this is over, still 5 points too many. So you've got to make sure you take that 5 out, that initial 5 out, by going right to the left margin. Okay, all of this, obviously the same. Obviously she had a hard space here. There should be a hard space after every chapter. The reason that's important is when it goes to be uploaded into a Mobi file, which is your ebook, if you don't have that hard space, the chapter will just start like this. I'll show you how it would start if I didn't go through. Here she did it right, but on the Mobi file, had I not, sorry, we're just going to tab this over for the sake of, done that, then guess what? Your book would be reading, you'd be cruising along, and then boom, right in the middle of it, it would say chapter 7. Can you see the difference too here? Where I took away that tab and where I didn't, you can see how it's definitely not centered when you don't do that. So each chapter needs to be done like that. Another thing to always look for, make sure it says chapter 8, spell out the word 8. Chapter 9, spell out the word 9. Sometimes very often I'll see chapter 8 with a number, Chapter 9 spelled out, Chapter 10 with a number. Okay, then we get to spacing these ... This is done correctly. Most publishers want it 3 spots like that. Home, center. I'm going to show you something else too. People do this a lot. When you make these 3 dots, if you hit return, look what happens. Getting rid of that line is akin to hell. It is not easy to do. If you accidentally make that line the second you see it, you want to immediately go right up here and get rid of that sucker. It's the only way out, and if you don't do it, you're going to put yourself and or your publisher, depending on whether they'll do it for you or not, through unnecessary torture. Definitely make sure that if you accidentally do this, and we all do, that you quickly, immediately, you got to do it right away, get rid of it, and you'll be fine. It won't. If you do that, you're good. Okay, I don't know what's happening here, but it's not right. Let's pretend I made those tabs good, okay? So we have Chapter 9. Pretend this is centered perfectly. Chapter 9, we have Christopher, 6 months later. I know of no submission guideline in the world where we're putting asterisks under a subtitle like that. So let's ditch those. Technically, you want to put your point of view with a space between the chapter and the point of view. Your time period, another space. There should be a space right here, space right, a space right here, if it would allow it. I'm not sure what she's got going on with these indents, but they're not really a problem long term. But something about the way she's originally formatted this is a little bit funky with those indents. So try to avoid those if you can. If you can't, it's not that big of a deal. Again, you'd want to, let's pretend we're centering it right. No tabs. This should not be jammed up against title. Now, I know authors like to do this. I know, because I see it all the time. They want me to be really sure I'm aware or something. And they want to make it huge. And that's fine when you're doing customized formats at the very end of a book, or if you're self-publishing, or if you're not using a program. We have programs that we use that help with formatting when we don't do it the old school way, or we're trying to move quickly. Do not do that huge font thing when you submit to any publisher because you don't know how they're going to format a book. You want to just give it to them in the standard 12 and trust them to figure out a way that works. The rest of this is actually really in good shape right now. I mean, obviously we're changing all the chapters. I just saw another subhead. Oh, it's Michelle. Well, hello, Michelle. Okay, here. Another problem. Home. We're going to get rid of that. We don't like that tab thing, right? No thank you on the tabs. Why? Because we want an authentic, legit center. Same with this. This I'm not as picky on because I tend to play with it based on how it's fitting the page when it does get into the right size. So for me, I don't mind, but you do always want to include your biology, your biography when you submit a book. A lot of publishers will also require the blurb at the very front of the book. One thing that is definitely wrong with this is this should be happening. We don't know. We juggle as publishers a ton of titles, right? I want to see this. Front page. I want a title page. Title of the book, name of the author, what it is, the genre. Why do I want that? Well, I don't always know what I'm looking at. There are some titles. The Boy, that doesn't necessarily tell me this is a romance novella. I have no idea if it is. We're calling it one for the day. Michelle didn't know she's writing The Boy, but now she is. I don't necessarily know what the book is. It helps me a ton when I go to run it through KDP Rocket to figure out how to list the book, how to get keywords, how to do all that. It really helps me when I know it's a novella versus novel because there's different categories for those. Short story, novel, all of that. Overall, this was an easy one to fix up and not much needs to be changed, but that would be how you do it. Now, I'm going to switch into another document and I'm going to try a different author. Okay, I'm back with a new author. So first thing, what was wrong with this one? Well, okay, let's go to view. That would be cool if we got there. Oh, we have to always enable editing first because, you know, just we do. I don't know why. Okay, it helps me sometimes to see it in multiple pages. But the first thing wrong with this, I can already tell you she does her spacing right here. But what she doesn't do right, and these authors, I just on their defense, I told them to send me messed up stuff. It's not necessarily how they send me stuff. Is the spacing is all wrong. So we're hitting select all, just like we did on Michelle's. You go to home. She's already got her paragraph set up, I can see that, with her tab indents. But her spacing is not good. No editor in the world wants to read a single-spaced document. It is torture. First thing I know is wrong. We forgot. And again, we may not have forgot. We just handed the publisher something she asked for. So, the girl insert pages, page break. Remember, that's a hard space, right? Okay. So now we've got our, I'm going to get off of view multiple pages. Well, it's easier for me this way. It's probably harder for you guys to see. So let's just go to one page. So on that title, you can, I've got the title, the author, and the type of book, a fantasy novel. Now, again, I have no idea what I'm even looking at, but that's what it is for the sake of this. Prologue, home. Oh, one thing I would say too, make sure if you guys want dedications or acknowledgments, that needs to be at the front of the book. And that's not just a Crazy Ink thing, that's publisher-wide. So far, so good. She's already got her paragraph set up to our standard, which is a 0.5. Most publishers are actually 0.4. She's also doing this really well. So notice how she's already got her chapters pulled to the left. That's perfect. Because did you see how she just saved me time? I did not have to go back and get rid of that. That was beautifully done. So that helped. Zipping along. This particular author doesn't seem to write with many ... breaks, which is great. I am so guilty of ... breaks, but it definitely makes formatting easier. Don't change how you do that, though. Your voice is your voice, and if you're a ... person, be proud. Just make sure you don't give me those big black lines. Okay, so, I mean, there is not much to change on this. Obviously, I'm not going to do each one. That's just silly, but... So you got the chapters all good. Let's get to the bottom and see if she gave me a bottom. Okay, it's a WIP, work in progress. So she hasn't done that. But at the end, I'd want her bio, her author picture, works. Never, ever, ever, ever put an Amazon page link. They will kick it. Even Amazon will kick it, but particularly Wide will kick it. You cannot put a competitor link or any retail link. You can do like your Goodreads link, you can do your Facebook page, your website, but never put a link to an actual place where you can buy books. So I thank you, Yolanda Allard, for asking me to make this video. I should have done this ages ago. That is basically how to format a book. It's really not hard. Once you've done it a couple of times, it becomes habit. You can even make it the default on your computer. Right now, the reason I just did this was I wanted to check her font and font size. So again, her font and font size was right. There wasn't much to do on this one. But yeah, that's literally all it is. You can see by her layout. I just know from looking at it. Oh, good, my computer space is low. That's always fine. I know from looking at it that it's just a standard size piece of paper. But yeah, you can see she did 8.5 by 11. I have had authors do this. This makes me insane. I don't know if it's just because we're artists and we're all being creative, but I've literally had people writing in colored fonts. No, none of that. Black letters, Times New Roman 12, and you're good to go. All right, guys, until next time, peace, love, books, and crazy.